We decided one daily segment wasn't enough for Bill Bush and Bill's Thrills, so we turned it into a week-long podcast recap. Here's Bill's Thrills Rewrapped, sponsored by Acres Equipment on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bill, the floor is yours on this fine Friday.
Started a new segment last week.
Oh, that's right.
Wish you were there. What would have been like to have been at that event? The last one was the concert in Central Park, Simon and Garfunkel.
Sound of Silence.
Sound of Silence, which was just wow.
Hello, darkness.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. But to be part of something that was just iconic. This one would be one that was attended by a lot of people. Very few from this area would have been there. Lock in for a second. YouTubers, you can stay on there. You're fine. You'll be able to hear this thing. If you could, just take about a second of silence. If you have headphones, throw them in. Turn your volume up a little bit and lock in to a moment. Wish you were there.
Rogers deep for Nebraska. Here's Wiley's kick. It's high. It holds up there. Rogers takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35, to the 40. He's to the 45. He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home. Holy moly. Man, woman, and child did that. Put them in the aisles. Johnny the Jet Rogers just tore them loose from their shoes.
Wow. What a call, by the way.
What
Boy,
a call.
Did you get the chills
What
again?
a call.
What a call. What a call. That was Lyle. That was Lyle Bremser.
1971.
So it's 1970. I want you to think about a
November.
couple things. So imagine this one. So it was dubbed prior and after because of the follow-up. Game of the century. What game are you at? I went to the game of the century. When's the other game of the century?
There's only one.
There isn't one. There's only been one. There's a different century. Doesn't even come up. There's one. Where are we at? Game of the century. Oklahoma had their times and they kind of got after Nebraska a little bit. They didn't win the game of the century. Yeah, that's nice.
Good point.
Did you guys win the game of the century? Try that one on for size.
Yeah.
Try that one on to see how that. So I want you to think about a couple things here. Why it was incredible. It's in Norman, Oklahoma. Guess when it was? It's on Thanksgiving Day. So to go on Thanksgiving Day was a lot. To get to Norman, Oklahoma in 1971 was a lot. So there's probably only a couple thousand, whatever the tickets that were available. It was a sold-out game, obviously. So it was 1 versus 2. So just think about that for the Nebraska fans that were truly there, possibly a couple thousand, maybe 1,500, whatever the tickets were that were allotted for that time. That it's a game you remembered where you watched it.
I do.
It's a game you remember where you watched it, where it was at. You know, we were in Denzel Weatherly's house in Decatur, on the farm. That's where it was watched.
I was at my grandma's in Grand Island.
Devaney, Bob Devaney. How about that? The Irishman leading them, coming in. Devaney leading them in. Who's ripping off plays that day? Who was calling them?
Taggy.
What's that? No. He was the quarterback. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Who was calling the plays on the sideline? Tom. Coach Osborne's the OC.
Jake.
Yeah.
Tom called plays for 5 national title teams.
5 national.
Oh,
Called
so
the plays.
He called plays for 5 national title teams.
Pretty good.
At
Think
the
about
same
that.
place. Like that. Glover had 20 tackles from the nose guard position.
20
He had 20 tackles.
I think they had an All-American center, too.
They had really good players. No, it's not like that Mildred didn't have them going for OU. They scored 31. It's 35-31. Jeff Kinney, tearaway jerseys. Tearaway jerseys.
He wasn't wearing a jersey at the end, but it was
in the game,
like
he didn't have
off.
a jersey on. He didn't have a jersey
It was
on.
like off.
It was off. All he had was pads on.
Yeah, I mean, that we're exaggerating.
A little bit, but it was it was that way. It was that way.
They had tearaway jerseys, Jake. And they wore neck rolls. They wore neck rolls.
Beautiful sight.
Game of the century. Imagine watching that. The game probably lasted about 2 hours. Is Wishbone against Power Eye.
Yep.
At a couple throws like that,
We were so young. I mean,
I don't remember the game.
Yeah, I barely do.
I remember where I was. There's no chance I remember it. I remember it was mayhem in the house and they won, and then everyone just left and they just left the kids at the house. We had old enough kids there to watch the young. Do not remember anything about it.
I remember eating turkey and then going right to the living room.
Think about that.
I do remember that.
Thanksgiving Day. Think how far ahead they were to think about that, to put a game in 71 on Thanksgiving Day. How about the eyeballs on that game?
Yeah.
I mean,
Game of the century.
Game of the century. Wish you were there. Could you imagine some of the people that were at that game? I don't know if I've even talked to someone who's been there.
I don't think I have.
First of all, it's kind of like the World War II type of thing. Not the same as far as the importance, obviously, but like who was still alive that went to the game, not was on the team,
know anybody.
not that was on the team, because right now, if you think those guys that played in that game, they're in their 70s. So those who went to the game, there's not many of those left that went as
Good point.
fans.
No.
That went as fans of the game. There's probably 20, 30
Good point.
fans that were left that went down there
Chris might
to watch
have.
the game.
Chris might have our
Yeah.
caller.
Chris from the Baldwin Shop. Were you at that game?
yeah.
Did you go?
Oh.
He might. I wonder if he went down
But
there. Brad
think
texted
about
in.
this. Chris is what? 70?
He's
In the 70s, yep.
So he'd have been the same age as the players.
Yeah.
He's the same age as the players.
Yes.
So the fan base. So give you an example. Ben, my parents could have went. They're 89.
Okay.
So you're going to be 89 here soon. So that gives you kind of an idea of where, and they were young at that time.
Mm-hmm.
They were in their 30s when this game took
In
place.
the prime.
Yeah. So there's not. So of the fans that actually went, we've lost a lot of them.
Yes.
And so it'd be fun to hear from someone that actually went. Can you also?
I'd love
imagine,
to hear that.
Just imagine the trip home. How happy you
I
are.
know, I can't
Imagine
even
the trip.
I can't even imagine.
And you had to be down there the day before. You don't get to Norman day of. So you had to be down there the day before.
53 years ago.
53 years ago was when that happened.
This is that. Yeah.
Game of the century. Wish you were there. Is there anyone that can talk to us that was at the game?
We have some response from the text line,
Nice.
402-464-5685. Well, regarding the call, Kyle says that call still gives me goosebumps from Lyle Bremser, as it should. Let's see, Doug says his wife, Pam, was at the game. Her and her family were in Norman, Oklahoma on Thanksgiving at the game, and it was incredible. No, never ever forget that.
Yeah,
That's
it'd be
pretty
the game
cool.
for your restaurant. Game of the century. Wish you were there.
One.
Yeah.
Only one.
I bet Paul Phillips was there.
Mark says no better calling of a football game than Lyle Bremser.
Yeah,
No, I don't think they've ever. Yeah, it was a
there's
hard act to
nothing.
follow. Hard act to follow.
Back in those days, also it was widely known on TV. You just turn the volume down and you put the radio on. That was common at a house. It'd be like
I think we did it that day.
that day. It'd be like, no, we don't need to listen to that. These guys know what they're talking about. We
It was a little delayed.
we
That was the only
listen to
problem.
Bremser here. That's what we do in this house.
Yeah. I think it was a little delayed.
I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Kent says great discussion. I was 7. I remember it. It was crazy.
7. So that was 70.
I would have been 5.
Right. Same.
5. Yeah.
That's why I remember.
I remember where I was. Do
Yeah.
not remember one thing about it.
I remember the
But
carpet and all that.
The other part was shag carpeting.
it was
shag
shag. It was
car-
gold. My grandma had gold shag.
Shag
carpet.
carpeting. And then everyone watched the game. So there was probably 30 people in one room.
Yeah, there's
One
not enough.
TV.
Yeah, 7
One-
or 9.
Jammed
Well,
around the TV. Jeff Kinney, pride of McCook, someone says. Pride of
Absolutely.
McCook.
He was a
Big running back.
slasher.
Yeah, big.
slasher.
Big
Yeah.
Jake. Big,
I-
strong running
I don't know
back.
what his numbers were, but I think he carried it in the 30s.
Yeah, he
It-
did.
It was like 30 carries.
Jake,
you don't even hear those numbers
He was an
anymore.
example of a loose horse.
Yes.
Loose
Imagine
horse.
being there.
Scooter in Roca says he watched that game from his basement in Roca. Remembers
Roca.
it vividly very well.
Basement.
So
We want to talk to someone that was there. I'd
Yeah.
love to talk to someone.
Beside-
what was it like leaving the stadium? I want to know what it was like leaving the stadium that day. I want to know what it was like.
Yeah. I've watched the game.
53 years ago.
Yeah.
Game of the century. Someone says my aunt and uncle, as young newlyweds, drove down to the game of the century from Gibbon, Nebraska, and drove back the same day.
Good
Went
God.
down and back the same day
Good
from Gibbon
God.
to Norman.
Man.
Man, that's
Dedication right
Dedication.
what is that drive? It's probably 7 hour, 8
6
hours.
to 7
there.
probably down there.
Yeah,
probably
6.5, 7.
Back then, maybe a little longer.
That game probably was. I don't know what time the kickoff was. I'm assuming about a 1:30. It was.
yeah, you can bet it was 1 or 1:30.
1:30 is what it was.
Yeah, you can bet it's 1 or 1:30.
Yeah, it wasn't 11 a.m. It wasn't a night game. I'll tell you that.
No.
Seen enough of it.
And Jake, that was better times because there's just, there might be 2 games on all week.
yeah,
Better times. You were captivated. Freaked
the
out.
nation watched.
You
One versus
wanted
two.
to watch everything because you didn't get to see much. You didn't
Sometimes the
see
first time
games.
you saw them, you heard their names all the time. Like, oh, that's who they are.
Exactly.
Whoa.
You'd pay really close attention to everything because it wasn't on very
Wide
often.
receivers were in 3-point stances
Yeah.
and on the ground.
Yeah.
Tim from Texas says, I was 23 for that game, and I told my dad we'll never see a game as good as that ever again, and he agreed.
That's good
He's probably
foresight.
close.
That's good
He
foresight.
called it.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the best game I've ever seen. 35-31.
That's amazing.
1 versus 2.
Think about what that man
The back
said.
and it was a back and forth game. Back and forth game.
Incredible game.
They had Jack Mildred at quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah. Really good. Yeah.
Well, thank you,
And
Bill.
Paul
That was
Phillips played that day right after the game.
thorough good.
He played Thorogood at Sandy's. At Elk Creek.
That's-
That was
one should.
beautiful. That was beautiful. Two times today I got the chills. Both times when you said, and And they're off. And
The Derby.
And Lyle's
Lyle.
call. Yeah. I've just got him again.
It's good to get the chills. The chills are good sometimes.
Yeah, you don't get them enough.
You're not sick, so it's good chills. These are good. These are good
Sometimes
chills.
I just have a fever.
Yeah, you don't want those chills.
Sometimes I have COVID.
These are general.
I'm
These are
tested positive for COVID, so I got the chills.
What
you
kind of
want
COVID?
these chills, not those
19.
ones.
What kind of COVID?
COVID-19. 19. Still want to know when it switched from Corona to COVID. I'd like to know that. What day was
I
that?
could switch back and forth. Sometimes I call it Corona.
You call it other things too.
The Rona.
The Rona.
Or yeah.
Oh, the other thing
Yeah.
that my grandkids
Yeah.
called it. No.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying it. You don't want me to say that, do you?
Okay.
No.
All right. That is Bill's Thrills, sponsored by Dirk, Scott, and Ty at Mid Plains Advisors.
Cash
As
cows.
always, call them at 402-730-7387.
Video vindication. Video vindication. What we're talking about here is spring recruiting. Like what goes on during spring recruiting?
Okay.
This is
So
beautiful.
you're on the road for spring recruiting.
May
And-
6th.
and-
May
and-
6th today.
and things have advanced a lot, and especially with the ability to obtain film. But what I thought was brilliant, and the only place was we would do this, but not to this extent, to LSU. So when you went out at LSU, I mean, I can still feel the anxiety in my body because it was like
Why?
when wherever you were going was you better see him work out, and you have to film it
With your phone.
with your phone or we'd actually send a deal with a little SIM card in it. We actually had a camera we carry with for better film. It was your job. Do not go to a school. Don't go to West Side or wherever you want to go and not show up when they're working out and watching the film. So that someone goes like that, well, yeah, we don't do anything on Tuesdays or Mondays. Mondays is our off day. We don't go on the field. Oh man, that's on you. You had to have that organized ahead of time. Or it'd be if I talked to him, hey, I'm going to be there on Tuesday. Coach, we're not on the field on Tuesday. Okay. Can you get him on the field on Tuesday? Yes, I can do that for you in period 2 or whatever.
What would you have the player do?
Well, you can't run the workout yourself. You have to have a coach that runs the workout, that does things. So you had to. Here was the thing at LSU. Every day, so if you were at 2, 3 schools, whatever schools you were at, and you can go to a ton of schools during the day, but there's certain kids you had to have evaluated. In that day, the film had to be. It'd be back in that day to the video coordinator. So it was much easier to do it. If you had a SIM card, you had to put it in FedEx to get sent out. On my phone, it got so good I could do it on my phone.
Yeah.
So the next day, Ed Ogeron would watch all the film of the player, so he knew exactly what you did the day
Would
before.
you send it into a central command?
Yes, central command to the video coordinator that would do it for us, and it was unbelievable. So you'd get it sent in. They'd text you about, hey, Bill, thanks. It'd be up on the system the next morning, and Ed Ogeron would walk in at 5:30, and at 6 o'clock he'd start watching film of what every coach did yesterday.
Interesting.
It was, and you had to be so on top of it. First thing is be really aware of how many times you've taken a video and you didn't press start or something, and you because all of a sudden he's done a work. Oh man, I got pictures of guys around the weight room, all this different stuff.
So
but
filming.
we're down in Tucson at a very prestigious school. We're there, and this is where Bijan Robinson was at.
High
the running back.
school.
High school. We're watching film down there, watching film. I remember Alex Grinch was there, and I believe he was at, if I'm correct at the time, I'm pretty sure he was at Ohio State at the time. He goes, "Are you gonna be one of those guys that's filming everything?" And I'm like, "Yep, I am." And there was probably 7 schools there that were big time schools. The only 2 schools filming was myself and Georgia. Were the ones that
really?
Kirby had his guys filming the same way.
Same type of thing.
Alabama wasn't there, or they'd have been. Oh yeah, it was very well known in the SEC.
Why was that so important?
Because just first of all, to know that to the other coaches were like, did you see him? I saw him work out. Here's the video. You want to see him? Okay, now the film has to be the film. Yeah. He still has to have good film to be able to see all this stuff. I was in a rough part of Baltimore, and all they had was a rough school. Biff was the head coach. Remember Biff?
Biff from Charlotte.
Yeah, from
the
Charlotte.
head
Biff
coach
was the head high school coach.
The cutoff shirt.
And so
Wait a second. He was the head coach there.
He's the head coach. And anyway, Biff is awesome. And I get the film, and our guys were just, they're like, holy crap. It was on a blacktop road that had probably been, I don't know, 60, 70 years old. Right across from the school was an old prison. And all the houses on the side right there were all boarded up, and they were running down this asphalt road, and that's what I was filming them on.
Cool.
It was really cool.
They could
I
run.
loved the kids. They were incredible.
Dudes that could run.
But point was, when we'd sit down, we'd watch all those then as a staff. Be like, okay, let's talk about so-and-so. We like this guy. Okay, what'd you see, Bill? Oh, I got him on this. I got him on this. We had him do this, whatever. If you came back with like, yeah, no can do, wasn't doing anything that day. Well, that's like, what were you doing? Why'd you not arrange it then? Get a plan, get it done. And if you had multiple guys, you were running around practice. You were literally going from spot to spot around practice. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, there's 4 guys here, and I got to see all 4 of them.
That's not easy work.
Because I was there to see a safety in Tucson. Well, Bijan was also working out at the same time. Robinson, who's drafted by Atlanta
Falcons.
So I would get him, and then I'd run over and I'd get the other film at the same time because the running back coach was at the time wasn't there for LSU. But it was just something that you did, and it was like
film.
It was just, and then in the end, sometimes I go, this is so awesome. Got a head coach just like, hey, when you're out there, this isn't cool breeze, man. You're not standing around talking to other coaches. Hey, what's going on with you guys? Oh, that's cool. Like that. Some people, it's kind of like a lot of idle chit chat going on. Wasn't it?
You could have got creative with that too. You got to say to a guy, pick up that football and 2-hand jam over the crossbar. Do it.
Yeah.
I want to put this on film.
Oh, the coaches would do things for you to be able to see them. And then if it's real simple, it's like all of a sudden they're not doing much or you don't have much. It just tells you right away. It's like, because I use the example of at a player that he was a 5-star that a young man that I helped in the recruiting process from Texas, but he shows up with his friend down to a camp at Tulane. So so he's at camp in Tulane.
In New Orleans.
And so he's there. So I'm talking to him like, hey, what's the deal? I'll go, I'm not doing anything today. I'm just here with my buddy like that. I'll be at LSU's camp like that. But and I go, yeah, I probably don't want to run the 40. Probably afraid. He goes, hang on. He goes and borrows a pair of shoes and runs a 4.44 because you know why? Fast guys like to run.
Wait a second.
And he didn't
what
care.
What position did he play?
What's that? He's an outside linebacker.
Had
a couple sacks for us as a freshman.
Ran a 4.4?
Okay, he ran a 4.4 as an OLB.
But my point was he was like, watch this.
That's fast guys want to go.
And so when guys want to work out, like, oh, I can't wait to watch me work out. Can't wait till you see me work out. You'll love this because and then you get a chance to see what they look like. And you also know that every other coach is out there putting their time in with what's going on. It also, like I said, Doug O'Coin was his name at LSU. He's still there. He's the only 2-time champion of video coordinator of the year. The only one's ever won it twice.
He was the video coordinator.
And he was gold. Didn't matter if it was like 12 o'clock at night. By 5 o'clock the next morning, it was on the system, ready to go for Ed Ogeron to watch it. So those are the things that were going on in spring recruiting when you went out on the road. Because it was you when you woke up in the morning, it was tense.
Really?
Where you had to get to, what you had to get done, all the things that was going on. And that film better be good. You better figure out a way to be able to get every little thing.
Tense.
Yes. And so, yeah, it was tense.
It's good to hear
but
that.
It was good. 4th and 1. I like it.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to hear that. I like to hear that.
So that's what's going on now around the country. That's what all the coaches are doing.
It's in May. They're
all on the road, spring recruiting.
That's what's going on. That's
those
exactly
are things
right.
that are happening.
Thank you.
We
Bill.
had a question from that Wet Blanket in the text line. Said, how long did it take Bill to figure out that Bijan Robinson was the real deal?
Got in quite a heat. I'll have to show you the text. Who was it? Joe Brady texted me. He was our offensive coordinator. Now he's offensive coordinator for the Bills.
Okay.
He texted me. So we were watching. So these guys are all, and it didn't come out the same like that. But these, when I say these guys, the staff, there's a large amount of guys that have been at SC. And so I brought him back in the film, and I said, I go, this guy's a potential Reggie Bush. And they were just like, whoa. They just lost their minds, you know?
He was.
And so then we put the film on. Also, everybody kind of goes,
okay.
Might be. might be not that. And then when he got drafted, I think he went like 7th, I think.
7th or 8th, yeah.
So he texts me, and then the Baylor staff texts me also. They're laughing because I took heat. I took some heat on that one for how good I felt he was at the time. So it took me about somewhere between 12 to 14 seconds.
Really?
To figure out
that much?
14 seconds max.
Yeah, it was like whoa. It was incredible. It was incredible.
That is Bill's Thrills Football Facts Monday, sponsored by Dirk Scott and Ty at Mid Plains Advisors.
Thanks,
Hour
Steve.
2 next, an early break on the ticket.
Back to more of Bill's Thrills Rewrapped. Sponsored by Acres Equipment on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So today is cool parenting tips. We're gonna have a song, Steve. And it'll tie in to what's going on here with cool parenting tips. Jake had never even heard the song
No,
before.
I had not.
Ooh,
This will be
interesting.
a song that we won't be like going, oh yeah, I play this all the time. That won't be it. But I have a hunch that you may have heard it.
Okay.
So let's
an older song.
Let's listen to the song.
Ready, Sip?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here we go.
I found your diary underneath the tree and started reading about me.
Sing it, Steve.
The words she'd written took me by surprise.
You've lost your marbles completely.
You'd never read them in her eyes. They said that she had found the love she'd waited for.
Anxious to hear You've heard it.
Wouldn't you know it?
Beautiful.
It is.
She wouldn't show.
All right, there we go. Bill's Thrills. What do we
Who
got
is
here?
that?
What's that? Bread.
That's David Gates in bread? Or is it
yes.
just bread?
It was just
That
bread.
was bread.
I wonder
That
if
was
it's
bread.
David Gates in bread.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, we don't need to get caught on it.
But oh yes.
Okay, what's the tip?
The tip
Diaries?
right there. The tip is teach your kids to have a diary or a ledger. A diary or a ledger. I know you're not going to do the daily one. I want
Why not?
I want you to imagine this, Sip.
Okay.
What if you could pull something out of a diary or a ledger like that, and it had written in there, "Me and Haas jumped in the Gulf of Mexico."
It would be good.
It'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
My diary would be really
It'd be
bizarre.
really bizarre. Could you imagine if you could go back and read stuff from like 40 years ago, or your parents' stuff from some bizarre? And it doesn't have to be like the daily, like every day on Wednesday, this day. It's like, how about all the cool things you could write down?
It's interesting.
When something happened and you had some sort of way to go back, because there's things right now that are incredibly cool that I would remember them if something made me remember them.
Mm-hmm.
If I could go back and be like, oh, I totally forgot that on a Thursday night, me and Duke did this.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing, this happened.
Interesting.
The power of the pen and having that, a diary.
Song, I can't get over it.
Yes, I threw it out there. Bread.
Wouldn't you
know it?
Oh, my God.
She wouldn't show it. I mean, the guy gets to read that this girl's in love with him.
That's amazing.
He gets to read it.
Oh, yeah, that's
did-
amazing. Yeah. That is amazing you picked that song. Jake hadn't
I've
heard
received a text from Duke on that.
it. Duke is befriending you. He's defriending you.
Duke says that, he says that was the same as This Little Light of Mine, basically, in terms of the song.
It was interesting.
It all
It was
tied
more
in.
interesting.
It all
So you're advocating that I wonder how many people are doing diaries now.
I think they're completely out.
No, I don't
I
think
do.
they're
I
out.
think they're out. Remember, the diary used to be like if my sister had one that had a little lock on it.
Yeah.
The diary had a lock
Can't
on it.
get in,
A little-
Bill.
that way, not everybody could get into there to go check it out to read what was going on. So. And that's where, and then Snoopy parents would try to read some stuff.
Oh,
going on.
God, yes.
They'd be trying to see what's going on in their life.
Snoopy.
But if you just logged in just major moments, so you might have maybe 1 or 2 entries a month, even whatever. Just to write things down, to have them in writing would just be incredible right now. To go back, I would love to go back and like all of a sudden to 7th grade for
Is
me.
this more of a female thing?
There's probably a little bit,
Probably.
but I think male-wise too. We talked about a game you played in, something that happened,
Yeah.
or something funny that happened. More so than just
Write it
man.
down.
I was 4 for 4 today. Okay, whatever, dude. No one cares. Really, no one
Come
cares.
on, you scored
But
32 against
but if something
somebody.
but if something really funny happened during the game or something that came up. That would be interesting to talk about. It would be incredible things to have
Gates
things said.
I can see Sip's diary from 40 years ago saying, drank 18 beers on the way to Willie Nelson concert. Good day.
Good day.
Good day.
Jumped in the
started
Gulf of
drinking.
Mexico with Haas.
I started drinking. I was like 16. I started drinking like at 9 a.m. that day.
Driving down
It was
to-
incredible. I had my shirt off. It was weird. Anyway, that is amazing. I wonder, Bill, I think I'd push back a little bit. I do think people still keep them a little bit.
God, it would be nice, but it would be to go back and read that stuff. If you had something from like your parents, your grandparents,
Yeah.
like, oh wow, check this out.
Super
this
nice.
is really cool. And it's written down like that. It'd be something you would save.
Super nice idea.
yeah.
And have a I would advocate having a diary and writing stuff down, not in your computer.
Not in your computer, exactly. Hey, oh, look at this. I found their floppy disk with all their best thoughts. No, no, don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that at all.
I think-
anything from the text line,
Yes,
Jake.
we have Wet Blanket says Bill Bush, circa high school, was one strike away from 300 game going pro in bowling.
See, that would have been in there. That would have been. Thank you, Wet Blanket. I would have. Imagine my entry that day.
One
Imagine
strike away from 300.
entry.
I'm going
For
pro.
one strike, I'm going pro.
I'm going to sit down and make an entry.
Bill, it's time to eat. Hang on, I'm finishing my diary entry.
My entry.
My entry. I gotta do my diary entry from 7th grade PE bowling.
Oh, that'd be
Mom,
interesting.
get a ball. Give me a ball. I'm going to league.
I'm going pro.
I'm going pro. I'm one strike away. Never broke 130 again. Ever. Imagine that entry. Thank you, Wet Blanket. Think of all the cool entries you'd have. Imagine Jake, the entry when he won the wrestling match. Imagine that one.
Did you win?
Didn't go winless in wrestling.
Imagine that one.
Beat the guy
gotta
from
make my
Columbus.
Jake, my entry. I spray tanned today.
I just sprayed it. It was terrible.
I just realized I'm an albino.
Can't fix that.
Can't
I
fix
have to
it.
come to grips with this.
You can't fix that.
Sad face.
I'm coming to grips with my albino.
How do you know about this? It's in his diary. It's in his ledger.
It's getting pretty dark in there.
It's getting pretty dark.
No, it's not. You're
not.
an albino.
Wouldn't you know it?
David Gates.
She wouldn't show it.
Incredible.
Someone says modern diaries are documenting things on social media nowadays.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Bill loves that.
I love that.
Bless.
That's the
Bill
way to
blessed.
do it.
Bill
Blessed.
blessed.
So blessed. So blessed. Man, you want to talk about...
Bill,
Oh,
you want a
man.
bugaboo?
You want to talk about fighting words. Like,
Ask
so
Bill
blessed
about
to be in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Would you stop
Yeah,
it?
Stop like that. Bill,
Stop.
But if you're in the Caribbean, you had something fun happen, you put it in your diary, it might be a little bit different instead of having to post it.
Someone has posted one for myself from the Garth Brooks concert. Says, I drank 4 25-ounce beers and I felt fine.
In your ledger. And imagine having that.
A little sloppy.
I'm gonna just imagine 60 years from now, your grandkids have that. They look at Grandpa Jake.
Put this
He went to
25-ounce
the
beers.
hammer. Who's this Garth Brooks guy? I'm gonna Google this.
I felt fine.
I felt fine.
Fine.
I felt fine.
There's a little slur in the writing there, Jake. You sure you're okay after that one?
Entries.
Dolphins lose. This is
Bad day.
Bad day.
Bad day at the office.
That's not
But this
interesting.
one, how about Jake? I called into the Miami radio station today.
That's a good one.
That'd be a good one.
Got
That'd
my
be a good
thoughts
one.
out
Think how
Miami
gr-
radio.
Yeah.
Think how many great things would be.
There would be some good ones.
There would be, and if you were reading, you'd be like, imagine going back and asking like your parents, hang on, you wrote down this happened here in 1972. What was this? And I'll be like, oh wow, that jars a memory for me.
19 what?
1972.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Go back.
I heard-
Then you played David Gates in Bread.
Yeah. Jake, I heard you were in one of your speaking engagements overseas when we were
International,
talking
per
about
Cayman, yeah.
this. We were talking about Joe Justice the other day.
Okay.
Rubber Band Man singing Rubber
Yes.
Band Man.
Yeah.
Rubber Band Man.
Singing Rubber Band Man. He would sing Rubber Band Man when he was carrying the ball in our lot games. And I mentioned Todd Bader's Yard. This is kind of diary type stuff. I heard from Todd yesterday, Todd Bader, who is who by the way, he says I've been working for FDIC for over 30 years.
He didn't know Steve invented it?
I don't
on,
know if he
man.
knew
Come on,
Shindaddy or
Todd.
not.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said excellent recall. I would have thought the exact same thing if I had heard the song Rubber Band Man too. Joe used to when he wiggled by, he'd sing Rubber Band Man. Rubber Band.
That'd be
Anyway,
an
that'd be
entry.
a diary
That'd be an entry.
Yeah.
And
I would have put it in there.
It would change your life.
Yeah, it would for the better.
It was hard. You don't just all of a sudden come up with good bread songs very often.
No, you don't. That was amazing. God, you got to
Diary by Bread.
You've never heard that song?
No.
Really?
No.
Wouldn't you?
No, I've never heard
know
that song.
it? Yeah, I don't know if that song.
I'm pretty proud of knowing a lot of older songs. I have never heard that song
Sort of
before.
surprised. You've heard of David Gates and
I know
Bread?
I've heard of Bread. Yes. Yes.
What the name of your,
Absolutely.
What should we name the band? Like bread? Wheat?
I'm kind of hungry.
I don't know if it's the bread like loaf or bread money.
It's spelled like the loaf.
BREAD. Yeah, Bread.
Well, I think you spell bread the money the same way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sure. If it, you got a lot of
You got
bread.
bread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah.
That'd be an
I'll
entry.
never do
Yeah.
That is Bill's Thrills.
That was an amazing
Sponsored
one.
by Dirk Scott and Ty at Mid Plains Advisors. Bill, floor is yours on a Friday.
Generational wealth.
Generational.
Generational wealth.
How's that sound, Zip?
Generation. You heard
Sounds like
that-
it bypassed me is what it sounds like.
If you heard in that interview that Coach Prime said that one of his things was to make generational wealth for his family. So if you don't have the ability to be a head college coach, just deal with these guys, Mid Plains Advisors. Then you still have your generational wealth and not work
not
as
too late
much.
either.
It's not too late. It's never too late. That's the big thing too. Well, I'm in my 50s. It's too late. No, it's not. They can get you to your number. That's what they do. And it's just an incredible job by those guys.
Go ahead.
So Friday is wish I was there. Wish you were there.
Wish you were there.
Wish you were there. Wish an event
Us.
an event that you wish you were at. Sporting wise, there's nothing that compares to this event that I wish I would have been at. And what would it have been like just to talk about this event? So if everyone could please just put on their headphones.
Yes.
Lock in. We have about a 20-second audio. We're good on YouTube.
Yeah,
for
we're
this
good.
Also.
Yeah, this is
So
good
let's
to go.
just-
Our YouTube listeners can hear this.
They can hear this.
They can hear this like that. Let's play it, Jake.
19 seconds. Duncan over to Ramsey. The Letonov gets checked by Ramsey. McClanahan is there. The puck is still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Listen to the crowd. Could you imagine being there?
The countdown.
Can you? That's Al Michaels.
Al Michaels.
That's
Do
Al
you
Michaels.
believe in
Young Al
miracles?
Michaels.
Yes.
That's young Al Michaels. He hits the home run. He happens to be
did.
calling the game on February 22nd in Lake Placid against what's that? The Olympics.
Yeah, of
Lake
year-
Placid,
year-
1980.
80.
that's right.
1980, February 22nd.
80.
And could you imagine? They had lost, I believe, by 7 goals to the Russians earlier in New York City, about a month earlier in a whatever,
Qualifier?
not a qualifying game, just kind of an exhibition game.
Exhibition.
Game.
That's by 7.
Herb Brooks took a bunch of college kids and beat a bunch of grown men who had won 5 of the last 6 gold medals in hockey. The place seated 8,500 people. 8,500. That's not very big. And that was in 1980. So we've probably lost what? More than half of those people that were there.
Ooh.
I mean, that's you're talking 40 something years
44 years ago.
44 years ago, and that crowd would have been an older crowd that would have been there at that time. So that, I mean, we've lost a lot of people that were at that. Could you imagine if you're one of those people that was there for the greatest sporting event to ever happen?
It would be amazing.
To ever happen to the United States on U.S. soil? It's number one. There's nothing close to it.
That countdown was amazing.
And then when you watch it, it's just like the score's 4-3. They're just trying to hold them off. It's empty net.
Is it empty net?
Empty net. Yeah, they're trying to hold them off on empty net. It was unbelievable. I mean,
The Miracle on Ice.
I've seen the movie. I'm saying the front to back whole thing 44 times. Oh, I've seen it.
It's a very good
Oh
movie.
my God. The
very
movie-
good movie.
Better than
Movies,
American
It's
Made.
called Miracle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miracle.
Yeah.
It's one of the most fabulous. And Herb Brooks was unbelievable. And what was cool about this was Mark Johnson, who was on the team, and he scored the winning goal in the gold medal game against Finland. But I was able to play. I knew him really well, and I played the first time I met him. We're at the Badger Desert Classic, and I'm paired with him to play
A golf tournament.
golf event. So we had just gotten hired at Wisconsin. I'm with him, and I go, I'm going to wear you out. And he goes, that's fine, whatever. I could ask him all these questions about what it was like, the different things and it was just incredible. He goes, and again, he's like, what was Herb Brooks? What was it like? He goes, oh God, he was awful. So sometimes you walk up and down and you'd see him in the hallway in the hotel and stuff. He wouldn't even talk to you, wouldn't even address you. So different things. And he talked about how, what was one of the big things you guys did? And he talked about how they went and talked to him because he kept bringing guys in. Like, hey, you're on the bubble. He kept bringing new guys in to see. And they're like, just leave us alone. We got our team. Just leave us alone. We got our team.
Why wouldn't he talk to the guys?
I don't know. Just was his method. He had a bizarre method of how he was doing things. The story has nothing to do with that game against Russia. But when they beat Finland, they were behind. I don't know if it was in between period 2 and 3. He came in and said one thing to him. Mark Johnson he came and said one thing. You lose this game, you'll take it to your grave, and walked out.
No big
that was
deal.
all he said.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah,
That's awesome.
You imagine if you did. If you won that game and then you lose to Finland, it'd be like, okay, this is cool.
Oh my
but
God,
it wasn't be like that.
That is beautiful, by the way. You lose this game, you'll take it to your grave. That's it.
And
That's it.
He said it was mayhem. He said after they won it that night, and then he said the weird thing was that they loaded up Air Force One like the next day.
Air Force One.
And they flew everyone to the White House. Usually you don't go for maybe weeks, 6
the
months.
next day.
They went the next
God, I
day.
don't remember that.
Yeah, they went like the next day or two. And he talked about how even at that time you could make phone calls from Air Force One. And he said, I was on my phone talking to people from Air Force One.
Wow.
And he landed.
Wow.
It was wow. And then all those guys got dispersed after they went to the White House. They all got dispersed, and they were all in the NHL like a day or two later.
God, what a life.
Yeah.
What an interesting life.
I couldn't imagine it.
1980.
That's a lot going down.
That's
quick.
a lot. The greatest, if there was one place I couldn't imagine, I want you to think what it'd be like leaving the arena.
I don't even know
what
to
just
say.
happened. What just happened?
You'd be on a weird high.
It would be one of those things.
USA chants on the way out.
You would just be not, I couldn't imagine. I'd love to talk to, I've never talked to somebody who was there besides Mark Johnson, who was playing.
You took us there today, though, and you heard the 5, 4, 3. That was an amazing countdown.
I listened to the countdown because I was trying to get the time for Jake to cut it off. So I listened to it 3 times yesterday on my phone.
God, that is
I got
intense.
goosebumps all 3 times.
yeah,
It didn't hit me the first time. I mean, just the first time. Hit me all 3 times.
That's a tense countdown.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine calling that just what your nerves would be like. It's like the puck's getting slapped around. And you go to overtime against a bunch of grown men.
Yep.
Not good. Not
I
good.
just remember the only player I remember. I don't remember Mark Johnson. I remember Eruzione.
Eruzione. He was he was a captain.
He was the best.
Yeah, Eruzione was the captain.
I can't name any other players but Eruzione.
Do you
so Mark
believe in
Johnson.
miracles?
What did Mark Johnson
Yes.
play with? Winger, defenseman,
I don't know that.
Look at your terms. Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you that.
forward.
I couldn't even tell you that.
That's okay. Mark Johnson. You play golf with him though.
Play golf with him,
and you wore him out.
It just was
I'm
constant.
going to wear you out.
I just constant questions. I just kept asking all the different things. He said they all ended up in a hot tub at someone's house.
Well, that's
like that
interesting.
night. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, he said it, but anyway, it was just. It was like I said. That story is just mesmerizing.
It is. That is.
In the fact of how they were and of how young they were and how they just taken some beatings, and all of a sudden, Herb Brooks puts the whole thing together.
1980.
Who would be alive from that? I'd love to meet someone that was actually at that event and walked out of that arena.
Any breakers? There could be a breaker out there.
Of a capacity of 8,500, that'd be hard to ask for a breaker to be there, right? 80,
It'd be,
not-
the
and there's
chances
probably
are
only
slim.
very
There's probably
slim.
only a couple thousand still alive.
Right.
And that average crowd had to be in
about
there.
that.
Their average crowd had to be in the 30s to 40s, which would put them, late 80s type of what their age would be
'Kay.
right now. So it'd be
Do the math.
Yeah.
Here's some response from the text line 464-5685. Notorious B.I.B. That still gives me chills when that call
It is.
is on.
It will give you every time.
It got me.
Scooter and Roca says I didn't watch it. I was not there, but I watched tape delay on TV that night.
That night. It
Yep,
was. Yeah.
had to do that.
They announced what happened at a basketball. I was at a basketball game. And I must have been like at that time, whatever I'd have been like.
We've been in a teenager.
Freshman in high school.
Yeah, you were in high school.
They announced what happened over the intercom of what just happened. And because there's no live TV of it. Think about that.
Oh, I was watching. There wasn't?
I don't know if
I
there's
thought
even.
I was watching it live.
Maybe there was. I don't know
Maybe
that
it was
for sure.
taped. Delay.
It says tape delay on here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was
It
live.
was probably tape delay.
Yeah.
But not much delay, I don't think.
Gino says I was running back and forth between the Stromsburg High School varsity basketball game and home, and delivering scores back to the public address announcer at the basketball game.
Say that story again. Tell me that
Gino.
story again.
I was running back and forth between the Stromsburg High School varsity basketball game and home, and delivering scores back to the public address announcer at the basketball
It's
game.
amazing you had to do that back then.
Think about that.
That's cool.
Gino.
was
drive home
running.
real quick.
Was that Gene?
Gino.
And remember now, they were down. USA was down 3-2. They scored 2 goals in the third. They scored.
That's right.
They scored 2
That's
goals
right.
in the third. Can you imagine, Gino? What was it like when he made the run back that they had tied it up? I couldn't imagine when imagine him getting there.
When
imagine
they
him
took
just
the lead.
Can't you see him just wheeling through the Stromsburg gym
It's
to get to the PA? It's all tied up.
And
It's tied at 3.
No, that's an amazing story, by
Yeah.
the way, that Gino's telling.
Gino, thank you.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me.
We have another yell here from the same Kansas listener.
From Kansas. All right, do it.
Get it, Jake. Get it.
Jake, that game was a bang! Bill is pure gold!
You need to do that more often.
Just seeing
You need
Jake
to do that more often.
It's way better than this. It's way better than the hands out.
When he backs off.
When he backs off the mic,
Mike.
it's a bang.
Yeah, you don't do that enough. What happened?
Anything else from
No
the
one yells
texters?
anymore. If I got to see an actual yell, it's got to be in all cap letters.
Okay.
But don't abuse that, Breakers. Don't abuse that.
Or do abuse it.
No, don't abuse it. That would get old. We go quickly.
Okay, you're right.
Wish you were there.
It was on Radio Live, someone says.
On Radio Live.
Probably was.
I just wonder how long the tape delay was because I watched it, and I guess maybe I thought I was watching live. I bet the tape delay wasn't long after the event.
But when you watch, so like what I sent to Jake is it's off of YouTube. So you're watching it, and it's not great film. No. I mean, you can't see where you have no idea what's going on.
It's not a great film.
It's not great film to be able to see. It was 1980.
Right.
And the other thing too that's incredible that was obviously was in the United States, but Lake Placid is not big. It's not like that's a hard area to get to. Lake Placid, very hard to get to. Yes. Oh, Jake's smiling. Something else.
No,
to
I
come
can't.
up.
Now they're abusing this.
Are they abusing it? Now they're making you yell.
Now they're being
funny.
Funny things I can't say on the radio to yell. So, ha. That is Bill's Thrills, sponsored by Dirk, Scott, and Ty at Mid Plains Advisors. Please call them at 402-730-7387. Well, Sip has already clinched the winning week
Nice job,
on the
Sip.
game show. Bill was helpful
Bill's
yesterday.
involved?
Well, he wasn't there for Tuesday, Wednesday,
true.
but he did help yesterday for that. Today is what's that?
Can I add something?
Okay, yeah.
This is from a friend of Steve's. This is the lawyer of the stars of Lincoln, the top lawyer. If you ever get yourself in a pickle, get a hold of Mossman.
Oh, yeah, Steve Mossman.
Yeah, he said they announced the score at the state wrestling semifinals at the Bob, and the crowds spontaneously started chanting USA.
Wow.
Another story. That's from Mossman. That he is the top lawyer in Lincoln.
He and Hal Anderson.
The two people like that. If you get yourself in a pickle, you want to get a hold of Hal Anderson. You want to get a hold of Mossman.
If you're a Husker football player and you're in a pickle.
Pickle. That was the original. That was Hal. Hal was the pickle man.
Jake, you got one more in you?
What?
The first Sports Illustrated ever published with no words on the cover was
Whoa.
this. Was this.
From Greg and Myrtle Beach did that, yeah.
And I want you to read. I want you to back off the microphone and read the last words of this. You got it?
I got it here.
Okay.
The last
The last words. The all-capped words. You got it?
No.
It's the first sports. I don't think he
Oh.
sent it to you. Oh, yeah. Or did he did?
It says this. No words needed! From Greg and Myrtle Beach.
Good job.
From Myrtle Beach.
Good job.
Thank you,
No
Greg.
words.
Good job.
How
We're
about
abusing
that?
it today.
You're
No
abused.
words
It's
needed.
getting abused.
No words on the cover.
On the cover.
On this,
No
yes.
words on the cover.
Would this
Except
be,
for Sports Illustrated.
So
that's
would
it.
this be fair to say with this one? Because there's certain events where you know where you were when it happened.
That wasn't my
This
way.
is one of those. Well, like this, like Mossman talked about, where I know where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone can think about this. I like I said, I was at a basketball game.
Were you?
I was at a basketball. It got announced at the basketball game. That's how I
Were you
remember.
playing?
What's that? Was not playing. Was not playing at the time. So it must have been in 80. I would not have been on the varsity yet. So it must have been something like that. I would not have been on the varsity yet, and so that wouldn't have been there.